regression, repression, projection, rationalization, actualization, sublimation, and denial. These are some defense mechanisms which a person employs when they need to adjust either to external stressors or to internal conflict. Yes. A theory of psychoanalysis by Sigmund Freud divides the human mind into two categories. The first category is layered as the conscious mind, the unconscious mind, and the subconscious mind. The second layer, the second part, is the id, ego, and superego. Now, the interplay of these six sections of the mind is actually what give birth to a person's personality. Now, defense mechanisms are there, or a person employs them just so to cope with things he finds uncomfortable, things that causes disequilibrium within him. And these things are either coming from his mind, either conflict between the id and the ego, or the id and the superego, or the conflict is within him as a person and stressors from external place, which is his immediate environment. Now, in a situation where the conflict is from within, internal conflict, let's take it as a conflict between the id and the super ego. Remember, things that things that are in the id, or what the id comprises of is a person's natural tendencies, those raw characteristics of a human being. However, the superego are those things that society has carved out as right. Yes, those things that a person has to check or meet or be just so to be put in the structure of a disciplined person. Yes. Now, when there is a conflict between the two, let's say a person wants to do something. Let's take sexual desire now. Let's take a situation where someone has a sexual desire which is not commensurate with what the society check as okay. Now, a person is most likely to resort to picking a defense mechanism that will balance, that will allow him cope with this fight. Let me put it in that sense now. Yes, there's most definitely going to be something that he would employ just so he balances up, he adjusts to the reality facing him. Now, defense mechanism can either be intentional or, choosing them can either be a conscious act, which is coming as an intentional act, or it can be an unconscious thing, meaning to say a person employs them without even knowing that he employs them. And a typical example of unconscious defense mechanism is just like the explanation I gave. When there's a conflict between the id and the superego, in most cases, people resort to defense mechanisms that are unconscious. A person is not even aware. A common one is repression. Yes, most people repress those desires instead of working on them, putting strategies that will allow a person understand, because this is a topic we hardly is a topic you can find people talk about comfortably, freely. And so most people resort to repression. Now, in using defense mechanism, there is a need when it comes to intentional defense mechanism. There is a need for one to actually understand the type of defense mechanism he uses to solve his conflict. Because if the wrong defense mechanism is used to resolve conflicts, especially conflicts that are within you as an individual, if this thing goes for a long time, it is most likely to get to a point where it is going to explode and come out in a negative way. Yes, an example of things that has given birth, that is, example of the things that might happen when a person uses a defense mechanism for a long time that is not supposed to is anxiety. Yes. So in order to understand these things and how it works, this is where self-awareness come into play. It is self-awareness that will allow you understand the type of defense mechanism you're using and whether or not it's even appropriate for the conflict at hand. If not, what are those strategies you need to put in place to help you sustain the appropriate defense mechanism to solve that? Otherwise, a person will keep employing an easy way out defense mechanism, which in the long run can or to might lead to something unwanted. Yes, it can lead to an unwanted health behavior. Yes. So in essence, defense mechanisms are things a person employ just so to cope or adjust to stressors, external stressors, or internal conflicts. Defense mechanisms are things that can either happen consciously, that's you employing them can either happen consciously or unconsciously. However, in order to apply the appropriate defense mechanism, there is a need for you to understand yourself. The need for self-awareness is necessary and important, as this is what will allow you monitor your pattern of thoughts and how you solve problems within you, and even allow you employ strategies, defense mechanisms, and strategies that will allow you sustain the appropriate mechanism.